So we go to text number 50. So after talking about 5 factors which determine whether the work will be accomplished or not, so then Lord starts speaking further. Sarirvan mano bheryat karma parapate naraha nayam va viparitam va panchete tasya hetavaha. Please read.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these factors, these 5 factors. Next.
So whether sarir, vang, manobhi. Sarir means body, vang means voice or vocal, and manobhi means by mind. So any activity, whether done in mind or physically, they all are governed by these 5 factors. So nobody can say, no, I just thought it. 5 factors are responsible, including our endeavor. Tatraivam sati kartaram. Just a minute. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pasyatya kriti buddhi tvan nasa pasyati durmukti. Please read.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
So that's why Tatraivam sati kartaram. That means all these 5 factors together are karta. They are the doers. Not that me, I am alone the doer. So then such people, they're intelligent, other people are not very intelligent. And so that's the meaning of kartaram here. So such a person is called intelligent because he sees things in truth, that I am not the doer. So same thing Krishna speaks in text 70. Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate atvapi saima loka nahanti na nibadhyate. Please read.
One who is not,
yes, bro.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. Right.
So in the previous verse, Krishna has spoken, one who doesn't consider 5 factors are blind, then who's intelligent? Who's intelligent is given here. So one who doesn't have that ahankar, who's not thinking I am the doer, who's not attached to the actions by thinking that I will be the cause of my good and bad results. I'll do whatever I want. So such a person does not obtain reactions of karma. So he may do pious activities or sinful activities. So from an ordinary vision, it may look that he has killed so many people, but he doesn't kill anyone because he has no material motive for action. So when a person has a motive to accomplish something for his sense gratification, then such a person is bound by action. But one who doesn't think I am a doer, and he's not motivated by a desire to enjoy something or be called the doer of something, such a person is not bound. Because definitely then he must be doing things according to scriptures and just to follow the scriptures. That's the main thing. So it shows that. So then such a person, he is not considered to be bound. He will not be bound. So the simple way of getting rid of dualism mentality. So what is the simple way? Identify all the 5 factors. Contemplate in the mind. Okay, I'm not the alone doer. So many things are responsible for accomplishing this particular work. So I should not be having that pride. Who has done this? I have done. So that's a simple way of getting rid of dualism mentality. And for devotees and practical, if they learn to give credit to other devotees who are involved in a particular service or particular activity, then they are not wrong. Many times we have a nature to steal the credit. Who has done this? I have done that. So at least you want to be, we may not like even enjoy the results many times, but at least you want to be identified as the doer, that I have done that. So, but if we, what we say, recognize other people also who have done this particular service, then we are not. Yes, Vaishnavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, like, what about the bad activities? Like, when it comes to the good activities, of course, we think we are not the doer. But people may take it as a negative also, right? Like, so.
See, getting rid of doership mentality comes after one gives up desire to enjoy. So if one doesn't have a desire to enjoy, then one performs bad activities accidentally. Such a thing doesn't incur sin. See, if you want to misuse, then that means no. It's like no. It is like saying, can I get cleared class 12th exam without doing class 10th exam? So first pass class 10th exam, then you can do pass class 12th exam. So that's why first level is get rid of the enjoying mentality. Then comes get rid of doership. So misuse anyone can do, but thing is one has to be truthful to oneself, that if one is not having the desire to enjoy, then even if one commits sin, seemingly through actions, then that is not called sin. Why? Because such a person, he has not done that particular sin with a motive to enjoy or harm others or to defy the scriptures. Does that answer your question? Verse 18. Now psychology will come in picture. We'll see how Krishna speaks of different psychologies in Bhagavad Gita. Jnanam geyam parigyata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha. Please read.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the three factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the three constituents of action. Right.
So 3 and 3. So we'll try to analyze each one of them. Jnanam, Gyam, Parigyata, Trividha Karmacha Udana. So these three things are the cause of action. What are they? Or you can say motivator of the action. What motivates any action? These three things. Jnanam. So one should know that, have the knowledge of a particular thing. Then knower should be there, one who is knowing about things. So Jnanam, Gyam. So one should have the object of knowledge. Then one should know about it. And that knower has to be there. Only then there is a motivation for a particular action. I'll give one very simple example. Once what happened is one European person came to a South Indian hotel, maybe in Bangalore. And that was a Telugu hotel. So when he sat there, he was given nice South Indian dishes on a banana leaf. So there was idlis were there, sambar was there, chutney was there, dosa was there. So different items were there. So after he ate everything, he went to the counter and he was about to pay a bill. Then he said to the waiter, so this manager asked, so my dear sir, how was the food? He said food was very good, but salad was very stiff. And this like no, manager was shocked. He thought, but we never serve the salad. Then he understood this fellow thought that banana leaf was itself a salad and he ate it up. So he considered it to be salad and he ate ate the banana leaf. He didn't know this banana leaf is just for serving, and no, and you throw away the banana leaf. So what was missing there? Object of knowledge was there. What was that? Banana leaf. Parigyata, one who's the person who's eating on banana leaf, this European person is also there. But object, the knowledge is not there. Jnanam is not there. He doesn't know that this banana leaf is supposed to be used as a plate, not as a salad. Could you understand? So that is how. So this is how all three factors, Jnanam, Geyam, and Parigyata, they motivate a particular type of action. So this person didn't know that it is supposed to be eaten on, not to be eaten off, not eaten together. Or let us say there is a gulab jamun in front of us. One who doesn't know it, one who doesn't have knowledge about it, he doesn't know what to do with it. He may even take photographs thinking, oh, it looks like a ball in a good syrup. But when he knows it, will immediately pick it up and put in the mouth. So that is how all these three factors will be there. Jnanam, Geyam, and Parigyata.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Yes,
Yeah, in the example we just recited, so in that banana leaf is the object of the knowledge. So that means game, right, Guruji?
and that's called Geyam, yes.
Okay. And the person who is eating the European is, you mentioned, I couldn't get the point. European
So
is the,
Parigyata,
okay. That's a knower.
a knower. But he didn't had Jnanam, he didn't had knowledge of what to do with the banana leaf.
Okay.
So that's why what he did is he thought, he had a wrong knowledge rather. He thought this is a salad which is supposed to be eaten. So he ate the banana leaf.
Okay. Yeah.
So
In that
Jnanam was
example, three are there. Gnanam, Geyam, Parijata.
there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jnanam was absent in that sense.
Yes.
Jnanam
He
is
don't
right.
know. He has to eat on top of the leaf, but he is okay. Got it.
Got it. So this one, now to perform any action, again three are required. Karanam, Karma, Karteti. Karanam means the senses. So again, in the same example, for this European person, Karanam means his sense. Sense means sense of mouth was there, tongue was there. Karma means one has to do the action of taking it and putting in the mouth. And then Karteti means one should also have the subject, and the person who is eating has to be there. So either he is the person who is eating, it's like, no, let us say I am taking gulab jamun by myself, or someone else is taking gulab jamun and putting in my mouth. In either of the cases, all three of them are fulfilled. There is gulab jamun, there's knowledge of the gulab jamun, and there's a person who is taking it and putting it. So either it has to be other person or myself. Only when these three things are there, then the activity is performed. So I hope that's clear. So senses have to be there, object has to be there, and performance has to be there. So that is how. Now what happens is, based on this, Lord further gives much more detail of psychology. Jnanam karma cha karta cha trividha vidhev guna bheditah prochate guna sankhyane yatha vachrinutani api. Please read.
According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Hare Krishna.
So now basically speaking, all six of them, as Krishna has spoken in text number 18, they all come in three modes of material nature. And that is how the result of a particular activity or a motivation for doing a particular activity, they are combinations of different modes of material nature. So one can be in mode of goodness, one can be in passion, one can be ignorance. Either of the six factors. So now Krishna is going to define each one of them to show how there can be mixture of three modes, either in the work which is performed or in even understanding about a particular object or getting motivation to consume a particular. So other of them can. So that Krishna will now explain it further. So jnanam, karma, and karta. All three can be in mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. So Lord is going to explain them one by one now. Sarvabhutesu yenekam bhavam avyam ikshate avibhaktam vibhaktesu tasjnanam vidhi satvikam. Please read.
The knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, we should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So now, yes, thank you. So now jnanam, knowledge is called in mode of goodness when ekam bhavam, one sees one soul or a spiritual spark. That means, not that means everything is one. One soul means one can see that spiritual spark in what? Avibhaktam vibhaktesu. So bodies are different. There is a different body of human being. Even humans, each of the bodies are different. Even within this life, we have different body of childhood, youth, old age. Different animals have different types of bodies. So bodies may be different, but there is one common thing in each one of them. What are they? The common thing is that each one of them is a soul. Avyam, that soul is visible. So this person, he has a vision of seeing how there is soul is everywhere. Sarvagataha, or it is called Sarva khalo idam Brahman. Brahman is everywhere. So such a person doesn't see body, he sees there is soul behind everything. So he basically has a spiritual vision. He doesn't have a material vision. So that knowledge is called in mode of goodness. Because that person is seeing things as they are. Yes, Viraj Kumar.
Prabhuji, based on before given example, so that person, that European, so just you said for example, so whether this sloka is applicable to that example, Prabhu. So
No,
knowledge.
Yeah, so his knowledge, whether it is in mode of goodness, it doesn't seem so. Why? Because he had a desire to enjoy. That is the first thing. And that too, whether he was seeing that I am doing this particular activity of eating for the purpose of maintaining this body, but I'm not body, I'm soul. If that knowledge is there, then still it can be called in mode. But if he is convinced that I am the body and I want to enjoy these ingredients, then it will be in mode of passion. That we'll see in the next verse.
Okay. Yes.
So text 21. पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नाना भावं पृथक् विधान वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विधिराजसम्. Please read.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So when mode of passion, person is basically bodily conscious. That means such a person thinks body is everything. Body is cause of happiness. As soon as body perishes, soul will also perish. Basically, he doesn't understand the difference between soul and body. So some people say soul is unconscious, soul is conscious, soul is pervasive, atomic, this, that. But these people, they are basically, their idea is with the death, body also perishes. So because they consider themselves to be body basically means senses. So whole goal of life is sense gratification. So then that knowledge is in mode of passion. So like I would give a European example. This European person, if he thinks I am body, I am with senses, and goal of life is to enjoy sense gratification, then it is in mode of passion. If he thinks that I have to maintain the body, but I'm not body, I'm soul. So let me eat this and maintain my body. Then it comes in mode of goodness. Now let us see mode of ignorance. Yatu Krishna vad ekasmin kare saptam ahetuka atatvarth vad alpam cha tattam samudahritam. Please read.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
Yeah. So what is this mode of knowledge, which means I had to come? I had to come means it's not I had to bhakti, but it is I had to come means there's no reference to any scripture. And such a person is extremely attached to a particular material activity. Like somebody very much attached to eating. Such a person, anywhere he goes, he just thinks about eating. Or bathing. Or drinking. Some people are drunkards. So anywhere they go, just think about drinking. Like no, when Mataji was telling her husband was a drunkard. So they thought of moving to another city. And then he was like heavily pressurizing. No, I want to go to Goa. So I told him why he wanted to do some sightseeing in Goa. He said, no, Prabhu, Goa is known for drinking. All the people go to Goa for drinking. And anywhere they would move, he was first search for the liquor house, whether it is nearby or not. So such people, they are attached to one activity as all in all. Now somebody who is very attached to the opposite sex, he can't think of anything apart from the opposite sex. And such people, they don't regard any like with activity like sacrifice, etc. So then that is called in mode of ignorance. Or you will find even in the modern scientists, those are just absorbed in a particular mental activity. Like for one example, one person, he did a whole PhD on a leg of a cockroach. So that was like total meditation in full. So then that is in mode of ignorance, because one can't think of anything apart from leg of a cockroach. One can't think that there is something beyond it also. So then that is called in mode of. Okay, so this is in knowledge in mode of ignorance. That tamsam udahita. Now Lord talks about actions. Action in 3 words. Niyatam sangarahitam arag dvesataha kritam afal prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Please read.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So these are the few criteria for seeing whether it is in mode of goodness. First is niyatam. Niyatam is it is in regularly. Like some people say that no, I am Krishna's devotee, but only on Janmashtami. So then that is not called a devotion to Krishna. Niyatam is every day at least. Approve, I chant. When you chant, I chant on every Ekadasi, one time. So then that's not called chanting. Chanting at least regular, it has to be daily. So regular work. For example, people like they daily they have time for waking up early in the morning, then doing some yoga exercise, etc., eating in proper intervals. So this is one of the criteria. Second is Sangarahitam. Sangarahitam means they are not very attached to the fruit of the actions. They are doing it because it is given in the scriptures. And Araga Dveshataha, neither a dislike or like. Because if you have too much of like and dislike, then it comes in mode of passion. Like, for example, winter time. Winter time, no, you don't like to wake up early in the morning. Summertime, you may like it. Winter time, you may not like to bathe early in the morning. Summertime, you may like it. So then that is that can't be called to be in mode of goodness. It is a mode of passion. So arag, Vishita. And afal prepsuna, again without desiring results. One is doing it because it is given in the scriptures, not that no, I want to get something out of it, that's why I'm doing. Sometimes you will find even outsiders, they work more harder than devotees, but the whole purpose is to just to enjoy. Like I know one person in our IIT, he came at that time. So he said that I sleep only 2 hours a day. So much so I don't have time to even take bath. So this fellow was like, he was showing us nano coat. And what is the result of working so hard? I have this nano coat on over me. Nanotechnology coat. This is like a warm in the winter and cold in the summer. But then again he was opening his that nanotechnology coat and no scratching here and scratching there. Because he was not taking bath. So then no, there was a desire to enjoy, desire to achieve. So then that comes in mode of passion. That doesn't come. Yes, Vaishnavi Mata, you had a question.
Like mode of passion, people also sees only the bodily activities inside. So then what's the difference between the passion and ignorance? Like they also fully engaged in bodily activities.
Yeah, but at least in passion, person has, you can say, is bodily conscious, but there is some variety in life and there is some sort of understanding of that I'm living in a society. We are interdependent on each other. Like you must have seen many societies, many clubs are there. Where people do some welfare activities, people help each other. So they're passionate people, they're not in mode of goodness most of the times. They're not like, no, they're seeing things, Sarv Khaludam Brahman or something like that. They're not like that. They may not be even aware of this something called soul. But they know how to live in a society, how to cooperate, etc. But mode of ignorance, we'll find generally people are very selfish. Such people, they're third-class drunkards, and they can even sell off their whole family, prestige, everything, just for drink. So then that's called immoral. Okay, 24 we are supposed to do.
Yes, Prabhu, 24.
Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasamudahitam. Please read.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
So kam ipsuna, with a desire for results. I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that, and that result is motivating a person to work very, very hard. And sa ahankarenava, person also has a little or more pride, because at least no, he knows that I have worked very hard and I have achieved the results. So that pride is there. Who has done that? I have done that. I have accumulated so much money. I have made this particular building. I have, been maintaining the family with so much of hard efforts in so many years. So you'll find generally you like probe a little bit into the life of people. They have some sort of pride of their achievements in life. So it may be sometimes little for those who were like have little pride. For those who have more pride, you don't have to ask them; they themselves will speak. But in that, either on the cases, it may be little bit in mode of passion or more in mode of passion. And there is a lot of suffering also in that. So one undergoes a lot of suffering because one works very hard to make a thing and then works very hard to maintain that. So a lot of suffering is in there. So that's a mode of passion. Now mode of ignorance. Anubandham chayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohat arabhyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. Please read.
That action in, sorry, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
That action performed in illusion is disregard of spiritual injections and without concern for future bondage of for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
So anubandham, which is cause leading to bondage. Bondage by Yamraj, bondage by the king if you break the rules, or the thieves. And chayam is destructive. One which destroys dharma, one's knowledge, good qualities, that's called chayam. Himsam means sometimes one performs activities which are harmful to oneself. Like those who eat this tobacco, there's a big poster given there, person with a big cancer in the mouth. And if you eat it, it will destroy you, still people eat. Anapeksha means without any prior consideration before performing. One just does it, one doesn't think what are the consequences. So paurusam, in this way it is done by materialistic people, and that turns into mohat. Mohat arabhyate karma. It causes one to further being entangled in moral ignorance. So then that work is called tamsa. So I hope that's clear. So these are three, work in three modes. Now workers in three modes are explained. So knowledge is explained first, then the work in three modes. Now the worker may be in other three modes. That means even if worker in mode of ignorance may sometimes perform activity in mode of goodness. Whereas worker in mode of goodness may sometimes perform activity in ignorance. Because although we may be in particular mode, we do get influenced by other modes and circumstances also. So you find sometimes devotees also, when they are too much involved with environment which is passionate, we end up in doing passionate work. But worker themselves may be in mode of goodness. That's why worker and three modes are given. Mukta sango arham vadi jati utsaha samanvitaha iti asiddhayo nirvikaraha karta sattvipuchyate.
One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is worker in mode of goodness. Mukta sanko anaham. Anaham means he doesn't think that, oh, I am this body, I'm Indian, I'm Tamilian, or I'm from Andhra, or I'm, man, I belong to this company. All this false ego is not there. Then Dhriti Utsaha Samanvita. Dhriti means one has fortitude, means one determines something, he'll do it, he'll accomplish it. Like you find Prabhupada underwent so many failures, but he was determined. I'll fulfill the desire of my spiritual master. Utsaha, one is always enthusiastic. Like once Prabhupada was asked, the Prabhupada, I am managing one temple, I am undergoing so many difficulties and tensions, anxieties. Don't you get distressed by all these things? Prabhupada says that I didn't see difficulties, I see service for my spiritual master. So then that enthusiasm is there. And siddhi asiddhi or vikaraha. Whether there is success or failure, one is equipoised. It's not that success comes, you become too much excited, failure comes, one becomes too much depressed. So that's in mode of goodness, no mode of passion. Ragi karma phala prepsur, lubdho himsatmako vasrihi, harsya sokanvita karta, rajasa parikirtita. Please read.
The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
So Ragi, karma phal prepsur. Ragi means one is very attached to his work. That means he can't think anything beyond that. Like we find even our devotee community many times, even in temple. Sometimes devotees become very attached to their department. And then you fight with other departments. So one becomes attached to his work. In karma phal prepsur. And whatever they work, they want to see that the results are accomplished. And not only that, one also wants to enjoy the results from the facility which one gets or actions which one does. And in the process, so luptu, that's called luptu. One becomes very attached to that. And hims atmako. Such a person gives pain to others also. He doesn't mind giving troubles to others, either physical or mental. And asuchi means one does unclean works. Unclean work means against the scriptures basically. Harsa sok anvitaha. He is subjected to the joy and sorrows. Such a person is called in mode of. So, yes, Vaishnavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, like last translation, it is given one who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature. So, what does it mean, Prabhu? Like without association with the modes of means he's above the modes, right?
See here when it is spoken like that, that means one does activities without it because it has to be done, not in his mind. So when we say asana of modes means basically asana of mind. That means I like it, I do it. I don't like it, I don't do it. But this person, he doesn't do it because he likes it or dislikes it. He does it because it is given in the scriptures.
But
when one does it because Krishna likes it,
then it becomes a devotional service.
Then
it is like above the modes of nature.
And then above the modes. But
one
does it because one does it with the understanding that I'm not body, I'm soul, I'm doing it like just to maintain the body. Then you can say it's a degree transcendental. But even if a person is doing it according to scriptures dutifully, then it comes in mode of goodness.
And then you said that passionate, like devotees also sometimes become attached to, like we also undergo all this. Then our devotional service will be like, it cannot be a devotional service. It's like a passionate work, or it's like mixed.
So what I would say, it's like devotion service in the sense that at least our initial motivation is to please Krishna. but then it becomes mixed. So what will happen? It's like in a pipe when you are putting water, if it has a lot of mud inside, so then we can't say pure water is coming out, but the impurities would come out by the same process. So it's something like that. So that's why we should do our best to try to do things with the pure motives, and in due course of time it will become natural for us. So we have to struggle has to be there.
But sometimes we may have to work with devotees who are very passionate or very much in that mode. Like how can we cooperate with them, or if we are not in that level?
See, cooperation is what happens is we can be what we are. At the same time, we can cooperate to the best of our ability. It's not that a pleasant people can only work with pleasant people. Those who cooperate, they can cooperate with people in any modes. So, especially when we are superior, subordinates sometimes have to bend. So that is there. The difficulty is there. So truly speaking, like we also felt like some authority is there who is like 2%. Then you have to somehow match him. So, but devotees, what they do is they see, okay, it's especially for Grasta, it's like not it's 24-hour, 24/7 activity. For some time, okay, for some time we remain in mode of passion for Krishna service. That's it. Rest of the time they're in mode of goodness.
Okay.
So we were in 27 or 28.
28.
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji, in the related to Islam. Prabhuji, I think in India, I think there is a group like RSS, they work for all good things to the country generally. So these people comes under mode of passion or mode of goodness, Prabhuji.
See, it maybe it's like people have varieties within them. Not that all the people are in the same pedestal. So because I personally know many of the people, they are pretty like devotional also. So the different groups. So it's like more of a, you can say, social wing. It's not a spiritual wing, it's a social wing which has some spiritual parts also. Like I personally have heard the speech of Mohan Bhagwat. So even when the Ram Mandir was inaugurated, he was saying that actually speaking, we are not against Muslims or anyone. We are ultimately soul, and we are part and parcel of Lord Ram. He gave a very powerful speech. It was as good as like some ISKCON devotee sitting on the dais and speaking. So that means a person, he himself may be devotional, but he may do particular activity for a particular purpose. Like Yadushtha Maharaj ruling doesn't mean that all the orders which he gives is for the purpose of make him chant Hare Krishna here, make him chant Hare Krishna there. Not just like that. He may say, okay, build the bridges here, do this here, do that here. Like even brahmacharis do that. You have to do a lot of management here. But that doesn't mean that you are a manager. That role is a management role. But a person himself may be devotional. He may be doing activity with proper devotional motives. So there may be mixed people. There may be people in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, and some people may be even pure devotees also within that. There are a lot of Ramanandi Sampradaya Acharyas who are part of RSS. So you can't judge.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Like for example, a medical man, a doctor, is he in mode of goodness or passion or ignorance?
Just playing a role to cure the diseases of the person, I believe. But again, as you rightly mentioned, again, he wanted to accumulate more money. Also, maybe he wanted to just only consider only the good people like who have more wealth and everything in the working very great hospitals, so that he can so he don't treat all the low people who don't have money. I mean, as you rightly mentioned, I got the point. He is
Like
a doctor.
Murari Gupta is in which mode? Is a doctor in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? You know, Lord Chaitanya's associate, na Murari Gupta. Is a doctor. He is in which mode?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I don't know that Murari Gupta. Maybe I am poor in the general awareness. I need to concentrate that also.
Okay. Murari Gupta is associate of Lord Chaitanya. He is incarnation of Hanumanji.
Okay.
So he's transcendental. He's a pure devotee. So like a doctor, maybe in some doctors may be in mode of goodness, some may be in passion, some may be ignorant, and some devotees, some may be pure devotees also. Similarly, activity doesn't define the particular thing. You have to see the person behind the whole. So person, it depends on individual. You can't define a movement just by seeing their activities.
Okay, got it, Prabhuji. So the people who are supporting RS activities, they still feel this is my country. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to support in many activities decided by the RSS. So those kind of mentality comes under which
See,
mode?
again, when you say even in the country, see, when you say my country also, what is the reason behind that my country? Like India is great, but why India is great? If you say India is great because I am born in India, then it is a mode of passion. But if you say India is great because Krishna appeared here, Ram appeared here, this is a place for no special culture, then it is not in mode of passion. Then it's transcendental.
We have to understand their mood actually.
So that's why it's not so superficial. You have to probe inside to see the things. Things are not so superficial. See, many times we have a sort of ISKCON devotee, really speaking, a sort of superiority complex that we are transcendent, all the people are fallen. It's not like that. We have to be very faithful to our cult. That's true. At the same time, it doesn't mean that other people are fallen. Like among the renunciates, largest number of renunciates in the world are in the Ramanandis. They are not in ISKCON. ISKCON, we don't have as many renunciates as we there in the Ramanandi Sampradaya. There are C Sampradaya people, the proper Sampradaya. They are better than us in terms of that. But among Grastas, we say our ISKCON devotees have higher standards than their Grastas. Brahmacharis, Sannyasis, they have much more higher standard than our Brahmacharis. So there's a variety. You can't legislate. So many times we live in a small, narrow lane and we have a sort of pride that we are great. So we are fortunate in the sense we have Mahaprabhu appeared in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, 6 Goswamis were there. At the same doesn't mean that just we are attached to the moment we are very great. It's not like there are other great souls, great devotees in other Sampradayas also. So that's why I'm saying it's not like things are so superficial. You have to probe inside to understand things. When you probe, and then you find that each individual may be different. So you can't take a person and judge a moment.
Yeah, the point is clear, Prabhuji. The bottom line point is clear. But still, apart from the 4 authorized sampradayas, there are some people who still follow. For example, even this the yoga
17th chapter. If you have read the 17th chapter carefully, we discussed it in the 17th chapter. Whole 17th chapter is about people who are not following scriptures. And then Arjuna says, that is the beginning of the 17th chapter, if you remember. Yes, Sastri Utsrajya. That's the first verse of the. So those who have given in scriptures, so they may fall into 3 modes. Krishna speaks about them. The whole 17th chapter is about it. I'll give this question also. Then you have to answer. I will not answer at that time.
Yeah.
We are going to give that is open book question.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so that's why 3 modes of material nature means it can be one who doesn't follow scripture will fall into 3 modes.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Now, mode of ignorance. Ayukta prakita stabdha sato naskrit As Kritiko alasaha visadi dirgha sutri cha karta tamas uchyate. Please read.
The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna Guruji.
So ayuktaha. So ayukta means one who does what should not be done. So he's not connected to the scriptures. He's disconnected to the scriptures. So he doesn't follow scripture. Then what does he follow? Prakrita. Whatever is nature, he follows that. At the same time, stabda is indifferent to the work. That means he doesn't even worry about whether things have to be done or not in properly. Like for example, when a person is cooking, now cooking when done, that I have to cook it very nicely because it is my duty. That is in mode of goodness. A person cooks very nicely, thinking that I will enjoy that food. That cooking is in mode of passion. But when one does cooking, thinking it doesn't matter whether it is good or bad, let me put any amount of salt and this and that, whatever here and then somehow cook it. And that is the mode of ignorance. So we have to clearly understand the difference between mode of goodness and mode of ignorance. Mode of goodness doesn't mean that somehow I have done that. No, you can't do that. You have to do it very nicely because it is your duty. So one who is very, very diligent about his doing duties in mode of goodness. Otherwise, one who is not diligent, he does it somehow it has to be done, and that is a mode of ignorance. So that is the meaning of stabdha. And after stabdha, it is given sato, deceitful. He cheats others or bypasses things, does some politics, etc. That is in mode of ignorance. And nes kritiko, one who offends others. So you'll find some people, they take a great pride in insulting other people. I can insult 10 people, means I'm great. So such people sometimes they take great pride. 5 people are there that they're not talking to me and I can offend everyone. I'm very great. That is a quality of mode of ignorance. So that is and then alasa. Alasa means person is very lazy. And he keeps on procrastinating the work. Not today, tomorrow, this and that. Visadi, he remains in rejection. Oh, I'm good for nothing. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's why he becomes Dirgha Sutri. He keeps on delaying the work. Then such a person, he is said to be in mode of ignorance. So if you want to understand more in detail, you can read 11th Canto, chapter 25. There these things are given much more in great details. Okay, yes, Manjunath.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, when we know that a person is performing in a mode of badness or mode of ignorance, then what is that we can use to bring them into KC?
Shravanam Kirtanam. Krishna Mandir is very simple. Engage anyone in devotional service, whether it is in a mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, will come up. Like we know this famous example of Crazy Peter. So he won't do any service, and temple president at that time and many authorities wanted to just throw him out of the temple. Prabhupada said somehow tolerate him, somehow engage him in Krishna service. So the whole service was, in those days, these were I think saxophone, what they're called, I don't dictaphone, what they're called. So there were like, these cassettes were there, not even cassettes. It's like, round things were there. You put it, so they would be played. After that, you have to change them. So that was his only work. So he would be sitting in chair. Prabhupada's tape would be going on. After the lecture ends, he should turn it. That was his only service. So practically speaking, for 1.5 hours, you don't do anything. You keep on sitting like this, and then you just change it. He was not even, devotees were not able to engage him in another service. Crazy people. And then later on, he became a Kusakrit Prabhu. He's the one who translated so many Goswami's literatures from Bengali and Sanskrit into English. Like even Chetan Bhagavad, which I read, that is Kusakrit Prabhu's writing. So he did such a remarkable work, which is in mode of goodness, in due course of time. Basically, even transcendental, you can say, not just goodness. So anybody in any mode, if you can accommodate him, you can bring him up. Okay.
Just only the Shravanam Kirtanam will work, Prabhuji?
See, mode of ignorance, if you tried another verse, it may not work only. Depends on how much ignorance. If you can engage him in like, vessel washing and this and that and different things, that's good. But if he's too much ignorance, he can't do even that also. He's just escaping and not doing the seva. At least let him do some Shravanam Kirtan and give him freedom prasad. So something will work.
So you are referring in the devotional devotees, but generally in the relatives or any friend, near and dear friends or relatives, in those kind of circle, how can we, Prabhuji?
No, see, even in those circles also, you are saying you don't want to make them devotee like that?
No, we wanted to bring them into KC, Krishna consciousness.
So see, Krishna consciousness beyond 3 modes. That's why I'm saying for Krishna consciousness, you have to give them prasad, holy name, scriptures, some seva. That's all. And whatever they can accept, let them accept, and slowly they will be elevated.
Okay.
See, to continue in Krishna consciousness, mode of goodness is favorable. But it is not a necessity for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Like somebody may be struggling to follow 4-day principle and still advancing in Krishna consciousness. But if he's following 4-day principle, practice of Krishna consciousness will become very easy for him.
Okay.
It won't be a difficult thing.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yesterday I was traveling in a local bus. I was chanting with the beads. The person who sat next to me, he was watching, and I just pick up one small card with the holy name and given to him. He just simply inserted. The same in another bus, similar kind. He was keep on monitoring, and then he was getting the things what I was explaining him. There are 2 different scenarios. So in these 2 scenarios, the person who has just taken inserted in the back pocket, what kind of mode he is. The person who is taking the subject, what kind of mode he is. There are 2 different examples.
It doesn't depend on my mode. It depends on how much Sukriti he has.
Oh, okay.
Bhakti is beyond modes. That's why I was saying since long time. It's not depending. Bhakti is not dependent on mode. Who can do Bhakti? One who accepts Bhakti. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Got clear.
Okay, then further Krishna defines other things also in 3 modes. Buddhir Vedam Dirtesh Cheva Gunas Sastri Vidam Shinu Prochamanan Aseshena Pachaktena Dhananjaya. Please read.
Oh, winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of different kinds of understanding and determination and according to the 3 modes of material nature. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So now further Krishna is going to explain other things in 3 modes. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karya bhaya bhay bandha moksham cha ya veti buddhi sa partha satviki. Please read.
O son of Prida, the understanding by which one knows that ought to be done and what ought not to be done, and what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So pravrityam nivrityam. One knows what is according to dharma, what is against the dharma. Karya, what is action according to dharma, what is action, what should be done, what not should be done, what is bandham, what is bondage, what is liberating, how one is born and bound up in mode of passion and ignorance, and how one is liberated. And bhaya, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared. So actions against the scriptures are to be feared. Actions according to the, or actions against the scriptures are to be feared. Actions according to scriptures are not to be feared. So one knows all these things. So then that is called an intelligence in mode of goodness. Buddhi. Yes, Vaishnavi. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Am I audible, Prabhu?
You're audible.
So, like we were hearing about the modes of goodness and passion. Sometimes, we being in practicing in Krishna consciousness, we attend to morning sadhana, and also we know the activities, the modes, how it performs, like more goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everything we know, and in fact, we are not even breaking any kind of a 480 principles. We are doing, but still our nature, even though we are prone, there are some devotees who can consistently perform, consciously being like, goodness, as we said, very conscious of each and every activities what we are performing, and they themselves can able to bring back their consciousness. Suppose they go for sleep, they are in ignorance for 6 hours, whatever we sleep. That mode itself, sleeping itself, is ignorance. Again, they just get back to goodness once again. So which means consciously they could able to do. But sometimes what happens, in some cases, we are not able to come to that level. The progress also, we are not come to that level, but at the same time, I don't know how to express it. So that previous nature of laziness and everything, even though we don't know it, we're not able to overcome it. The progress of our spiritual life also, it's not like, we're not progressing. At the same time, not go to little more higher. No. So how to understand this?
Yeah, actually, what we have to ultimately do is try to come to goodness. So these people might have cultivated a mode of goodness in previous lives.
Okay.
So there are devotees who have that background. Like, for example, now I would sleep at 11:30, since my beginning days. So I have a habit of sleeping late at night. So till today, that is like a suffering for me. Now I know my body is like creating trouble and this and that. I'm not able to do that because I have been doing it since childhood. And why I'm doing in childhood? Maybe in past lives I have cultivated all these things. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, I would sleep at 5 a.m. So now things have changed. So waking time has changed, but sleeping time is still like that. But I know many devotees who would had a habit to get up at 2 o'clock even before coming to Krishna consciousness. They're born in such pious and mode of goodness families. So then for them to wake up early in the morning is something habitual. So it's a habit for them. So it's very easy for them. So that's a mode of goodness helps a person to sustain in Krishna consciousness. And that comes from past lives many times. People have cultivated that mode of goodness in past life. So that's why that's not a criteria to practice Krishna consciousness. But mode of goodness makes the practice of Krishna consciousness very easy. So when we are not in that level, try to cultivate mode of goodness. It will take time. It's not like overnight thing. It will take time.
Like just because you brought up your point, like you night times, all these things you are aware, but what was your mood, Prabhu? Like, for example, I have a lot of this, practically speaking, laziness and postponing things. To be frank, I accept. Even though I see it's a lot of stumbling block, either in material or else even in spiritual as well. But very difficult, what should be our attitude actually? As you said, do I think that, just let it, okay, it takes some time, is that mood, or at the same time, I'm not able to bring it into practice very soon as well. I try, again, I die. So, what is your approach, bro? How did you?
See, what is in, I tried to mold those things were possible for me. Even sleeping early, I tried a lot.
Okay.
Now 18 years have passed of
Oh.
my struggle. So I'm not able to sleep early. But waking up early, things have changed.
Oh.
So 3:30 I'm able to get up. It's like, no, practically I attend morning program every day. So attending morning program is not difficult for me.
But
So
even
that's
though night times you're not able to sleep early also, bro, then also you're able to wake up.
So one thing has changed, other thing has not changed. So it's taking toll of my body. I
Oh.
got spondylosis 1 year back and things are very bad. So that's taking toll of my body, but I'm trying to adjust as much as possible. So main thing is practically we try to settle down things as much as possible.
Okay.
And certain sufferings we have to take. And we try to avoid. So it's like it's a dynamic thing. See, modes are coming out of the modes, it's a lifetime project. It's not just one life.
Mhm.
So many times what happens is, because we are born in a particular family, and according to our previous samskaras, according to our previous samskara, we are born in a particular family, and we have a particular type of body. So certain bodies are in mode of goodness, certain bodies are mode of passion, certain bodies are mode of ignorance. Even after coming to Krishna consciousness, many times subtle body changes, but gross body doesn't change. Like I know few devotees, as soon as they hold beat back, they go to sleep. Even very senior advanced devotees also. But at the same time, we have seen that they have perfected life and gone back to Godhead also. I know few Prabhupada happened like that. I know few devotees, as soon as they sit in the Bhagavatam class, they go to sleep. And at the end, in the question answer session, they would ask the questions from the lecture. That means their body is not cooperating, but they have gone to such a degree, but they are detached from the body. So they were hearing while body was not hearing. Make sense? Body is taking rest, but they are fully aware and awake in that class.
Can you
So,
explain a little more deeper, bro? So somewhat understood little.
it's like, no, their body is like very tired. So it's like body is, eyes are closed, this is, but they're aware of what they're hearing.
Okay.
Ears were open.
Oh.
Eyes were closed, body was collapsed, but ears were attentive. They were hearing everything. So that's why they would ask deep, not just superficial question, deep questions from the class. So I know a few devotees. So that means what these devotees have done, they have tried their best to overcome certain conditioning, but certain conditioning even don't go in the whole life also. So then one has to make adjustments.
Mhm.
Few devotees, they worked very hard, their bodies broke. It was a need of a time. And then they couldn't, I know many devotees, even very senior devotees, they can't come from one Puram now because doctor told them that if you do that, you'll die.
Oh.
So then they don't attend one program, but they're very sure that they attend the evening program. And whole day they're Krishna conscious in one activity or the another. So that's why these are very individual things and one has to manage them. But the basic principle is again three, which Bhakti Thakur gave. Try to do your sadhana very nicely. Try to do varnasam duties very properly and try to cultivate motor. So these three principles have to be followed, and whatever practical adjustments have to be done for that, one has to do. One has to do.
Okay, bro.
So try to fight, because each one of us are struggling. I'm also struggling. But somehow by Krishna's grace, at least let it continue. At least I don't feel morning japa time also lazy. Japa time I can attentively check. But body is not like body scraps. Certain things are, so at least it is not affecting my spiritual life currently. So I'm happy about it. Certain things
Pray
need to
for,
be done.
pray for us also, Prabhu.
All of us to have to pray for each other.
Right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Veni Madhav.
Sorry, Prabhu. One way now devotees reduces offenses also. After hearing this, if somebody is sleeping while chanting or somebody is sleeping in a Bhagavatam class, they may not think, okay, he is sleeping like that. So, Prabhu, my question is, you said no, even devotees are no, struggling to follow four regulative principles. Still, they may be advancing in Krishna consciousness. So, if somebody is advancing in Krishna consciousness, means he could overcome whatever the material difficulties. So, is it this is the right understanding, or these material difficulties will be continuing? And material difficulties in the sense there are maybe varieties. One is bodily things, another one is swabhava. And swabhava, I heard that it's very difficult to change the swabhava, whatever that. Now, following four regulative principles is like, physical thing, or maybe partially material, mental also. So how, Prabhu, how we can consider that the one devotee is advancing in Krishna consciousness, same time is struggling for following the four regulative principles? That.
Yeah. So basic thing is that Swabhava, generally what we say, Tadaradastamo Bhava, Kamlova, one comes in the mode of goodness. But certain vrittis may be so strong that they may be entering in a mechanical system rather than entering in on a level of desire. So Prabhupada writes in one of the places in Bhagavad Gita that modes of material nature are so strong, even a pure devotee may be entrapped for some time. So one very typical example of that is Bilvamangal Thakur. So especially Bilvamangal Thakur, when he became very attracted to that businessman's wife, so that time he was in mode of, he was in bhav, stage of bhav. Prabhupada writes that. And that is the reason he could pluck off his eyes. No ordinary person has a strength and enthusiasm to pluck off his eyes just because his eyes become attracted to his opposite sex. So that means even to the level of bhava, such occasional fall downs can be there. And especially devotees from the Western background. So many times for them, it's like bringing food to principle were like you drink water or eat food. Similarly, they would break. So that imprints or struggle doesn't go away even after a very long period of time. But at the same time, the devotion to Krishna, Radharani, taking shelter of them, that arises like to very high level. So we have this Sukritutta, Duskritutta, Pratutta, and Bhaktitutta. All these anarthas are there. So at the level of prem, you won't find something like that. But till one comes to the level of prem, because of apradhas, even to the level of till the level of bhav, apradhas were. Because of apradha, one may have an occasional fall down. And sometimes certain things are like prarabdha karmas are very strong. So like when we uproot, when you take to bhakti, it is like uprooting a tree. When you uproot a tree falls down. Now tree will not grow, but we can't expect the branches, twigs, and leaves and fruits to dry up immediately. It takes time. Similarly, from our birth, certain swabhava is there, and to die off, it takes some time. So certain things they take time. So that's why for those who have pure backgrounds, it's very easy. For those who have very sinful and bad background, it's very difficult. And sometimes some people may have pure background, but then a particular prarabdha karmas, according to their horoscope, certain times one may be impelled to do certain things wrong, temporarily. No, may not be possible. I hope.
Yeah, bro. Because many times when we discuss even among devotees, or when no, junior devotees comes or senior devotees comes, whenever mainly in and brahmachari sangha time, like a devotee shares what is their experience of preaching, how their counsellors are doing it. So most of the time comes is devotees are literally, honestly they are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness, and most of the time if something breaking up four regulative principles, they'll immediately get demotivated. See, I'm doing devotional service so honestly and so tryingly. So I'm trying my best. Still, I'm not able to overcome. So sometime for them it is becomes a big blockage in their mind. And they'll come back and ask Prabhu. Then generally the answer comes from authority, like we says that, और थोड़ा करो means increase your japa, do something like that. So but today you gave an answer for that. That there are not on the desire level, it is a mechanical level. If somebody is really transcend that, so he may do the mistakes on the mechanical level, not on the desire level.
See, main thing is we have to see, even if a person is polluted with desires, let us say, the main thing is what is the solution? This is the verse. Pibanti ye bhagavatatmana satam kathamitam sravanaputeshu samritam punanti te vidusitasayam vajanti tatcharana saroru hardikam. So this verse says that pibanti te bhagavatatmana satam. Hear Bhagavatam from your ears. Drink from Bhagavatam from your ears. And hear that from devotees. Satam is devotees. Kathamitam Sravan Putesu Samritam. Hear from the ear holes. Punanti te vidusit asayam. And even if you have sinful desires, vidusit means polluted desires. Such desires can also be purified by hearing. So that is our main thing is we have to encourage people to follow forward and 16 rounds and do everything. At the same time, we should be very careful that when we guide a person, we should encourage him to continue Krishna consciousness. We should not give up Krishna consciousness. I think it's very difficult, doesn't work. Because that is the only source of purification for such a person. Now, when it comes to being situated in an ashram, situation of ashram, situated in an ashram may be done according to time, place, circumstances, whatever is conducive for it. Many times what happens, we ourselves have motives when we guide. We want no brahmacharis to come and join, we want to get the services done. So then this fellow is really, he's miserable in brahmachari ashram. And you just encourage him to continue brahmachari ashram just because हमारा आदमी चला जाएगा तो सेवा बढ़ जाएगा. Person will, but that should not be. We ourselves should be having that motive to really do welfare activity for that person. So situation in Varnasranam has to be done according to modes. It comes in 3 modes. Bhakti is beyond. So everybody should be encouraged to do bhakti, but to guide a person in a particular ashram or varna, it has to be done according to one situation in which mode is he situated. That has to be done. So that's my humble understanding over years.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's nice explanation. I think Susaka Prabhu has one more doubt.
Yes, Susaka.
So, I don't know whether this question is appropriate to ask today because very Mother Prabhu got a point about aparad. Sometimes this topic also is very, being in practicing actually. How will we know whether we are committing some kind of aparad? Certainly also, if we know in front of us something happening is something wrong actually. So does it speaking also is an aparad or how, how to understand that?
Speaking to the right authority is not aparad.
Okay.
Speaking to the wrong authority is aparad. Many times what happens is this particular devotee is doing something wrong. I tell to his authority who can influence him and correct him. We have a habit not to speak to him. We have to speak to everyone else. That is aparad. Because you don't want that person to improve, just want to get a satisfaction that I am better than this person. So if you really want to help that person, try to figure out the ways you can help him. If you can't help him, then close your eyes. That's it.
Okay. Mhm.
So that is simple way of overcoming of that.
Okay. And one has to be very selfish, in terms of this personal sadhana and this thing. And especially when it comes like aparad, the entire Krishna consciousness is based upon this one. Like, so like, how?
See, aparad doesn't mean that you throw away your rational intelligence. It is not like that. Rather, we should use our intelligence to understand things which you can influence and not influence. When I have a responsibility, let us say I have not 20 devotees under me. I have the responsibility of taking care of their spiritual life. So then what happens is, then I'm concerned about them. I try to help them. I try to find out the mistake, but for the purpose of lifting that person.
Okay. Mhm.
But when we try to keep on going and seeing, this fellow doing that, he's slowly, he's this, he's that, he's that. So then we have to see that, are we really helping him? We are destroying ourselves. Because sometimes what happens, certain devotees are very critical by nature. They point out the mistakes in GBC also. I know few devotees are there, group of devotees. Their whole habit is GBC is wrong, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, this is wrong. And what is your seva? My seva is to just find out who's wrong.
Yeah.
And you also do some seva, not that your whole seva is to find mistakes in others. So that doesn't help. So if you can help that person, then see the mistake. If you can't help, then why you are becoming a free advisor and trying to do welfare for everyone, and while you remain miserable? So that's why we have to be a little more, I won't say it's not just self, it's like you have to be intelligent. You have to be intelligent to see what is going to help me in my progress of spiritual life and what is going to help others in their spiritual life. So that's why we don't have to be blind. At the same time, we have to be intelligent to know what is our circle of influence and what is not our circle of influence. Makes sense?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So that then we have to be intelligent actually, because you can't change the whole world. Not possible.
Not able to change our own self. What?
Yeah. So that's why better change things which are like in our influence. That's all. Why you have to be like concerned about the whole world? Okay.
So, Prabhuji, aparada conclusion is, one is either you suffer or get forgiveness from the person whom you did offense. Is only two destinations, Prabhu.
Okay. See. You can say like that. See, best thing is to change the attitude altogether. So many times you'll find that those who have a particular habit, it's not that certain people are inducing them to do that. You put them in any situation, they'll do the same thing. So that's why what best thing we can do in our own lives is we can change our attitude. So what is the attitude? What is the antidote? Antidote is to train the mind in a way that we see good in others. So Mahaprabhu would say that glorifying other devotees is an antidote to blaspheming devotees. So that is something we can cultivate. What else can we do? So better we should do what we can do. Not worry about those things which we cannot do. See, this general habit you'll find, even a pan wala sitting in a pan shop, you'll find sometimes telling the what way particular player in Indian cricket team should bat. This fellow may not be knowing how to hold the cricket bat also, but he can give a big commentary on how this fellow should hit the ball. So fine, it maybe it's your concern, but if you can do something about it, then do about it. If you can't do, then just forget it. So we have to be truthful to ourselves that we are not God. That is the whole problem. We are not God. We are insignificant living entities. You can make changes in whatever you can. Okay, I also have. I'm also struggling. But at least by mercy of all the devotee, I'm trying. Hopefully I'll come out.
So generally, when we become devotees initially, no, not to offend anybody, we will take it everything digest. Okay, this is a mercy. No, I should do it. Over a period of time, what happens for devotees? It become a overdosage because they won't plan. So they'll come to the senior devotee, Prabhu, I'll serve you, Prabhu, I'll serve you. But he is not able to serve. He'll come and say, and in between seva, he may go off or something like that. So he's not able to keep up and then become offense and then this, that. Finally, they'll become either, most of the time, Prabhu, planning misses in the what I can do, what I cannot do. So what words I can give them and what words I can keep it with me. So you said, no, you should be properly, what is it? It should not be rational or something you said. As per situations, you need to plan your time and know what we can do. So most of the time, so what I observed in the small congregation is they want to do to please. So they think that only saying yes is a please. So we can say no also. Sometime, if not possible, Prabhuji, maybe it's not possible for me like that. So that is also pleasing. But most of them, even including me, in my initial Krishna consciousness, I used to feel if I say no, it is a big offense. When senior devotee asked if I say no, it's a big offense. So this
I
maybe
I have that habit till now. I'm still a new boy.
no, Prabhuji. So sometime if we won't say no, also it becomes again we won't satisfy them and we won't serve them properly.
See, we have to understand aparad means it is with a malicious intent. So that is actually aparad. And other things may be a part of, see, discriminating is something. Discriminating is not wrong. But at the same time, you have to be intelligent to see the solution. So we have to be, that's why as the age grows, one becomes humble. Like you will find one very typical phenomenon. It's not just new devotee. New man entering a family life is like he thinks I can change the whole family and command the whole family. So he gets into fight, pacifying mother, father, wife and this and children and this and that. Old man, you will find him very peaceful. He would be reading the newspaper and two people they're throwing pots at each other, shoes at each other. And you'll find him, this fellow nicely reading newspaper and not doing anything. But this fellow by the end of the life has realized that I'm not the doer. I can't much changes. Only when extreme things are done, he'll get involved. So same thing happened in devotion service also. New person comes, he thinks I can change the whole world. After many years, he understands, so very few things we can influence, so be quiet on one side. Do your activities peacefully, and that is how you can, work out.
Very practical answer, Broji. Thank you.
So I'll also be practical now. I'm in Vrindavan, so Prasadana started there.
Okay, Broji. Yes,
Bhagavad Gita ki, Prabhupada ki.